We're always trying to explain things, define things, close the gap between two unknowns. And I think we're better off if we leave it. If we just stay in that gap where desire lives. Because once you try to close that gap, it's over. Well, I had this student once, and we got to talking about the relationship between fantasy and desire. It was a peripheral point of his paper, because he was essentially regurgitating Zizek's idea that through fantasy, we learn how to desire. And therefore our desires rely on lack, because fantasy is not real. So we started talking about whether that's true or not. Can fantasy be as real as reality? Well, he told me that when he was younger, he had this recurring fantasy of seeing his mother's naked body. Nothing sexual, he said. But the fantasy itself became so real to him that it was like he had committed an incestuous crime. And he spent years in therapy trying to reconcile his relationship with a mother that guilt had destroyed. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. This is classical Freudian bullshit. But for some reason, I felt his innocence. I felt his inability to have that catharsis that I thought would be natural, normal for a boy his age. But we all have something like that, don't we? The next time I saw him, I could have predicted that he would ask to sleep with me, but what I couldn't predict was that instead of wanting to fuck me, he wanted to look at me. Down there. And you'd think I'd see through this Oedipal moment. And of course I did. I was incredibly desired. I felt incredibly seen. Incredibly desired in a way I never did with you or at any other time in my sexual life. I hadn't thought enough about this. Because I never knew or understood what that would do for me. Because I never really relied on a man for arousal. I mean, I don't think it's the man who turns me on. I think it's the idea of the man wanting me that turns me on. And it's kind of funny to admit that I turn myself on. I find my own self exciting. I like to look at my body. And when I think about that, I feel sexy. I feel apt. And like Lacan says, it's one's own ego one loves in love.